My name is James, and this is the story of how the life I thought I had crumbled before my eyes, all because of secrets buried deep within the people I trusted most. For years, I had considered myself a lucky man. I had a successful career, a beautiful wife named Emily, and a close-knit circle of friends. Life felt complete. Emily and I had been married for a decade, and though our journey wasn't without its challenges, I believed in the strength of our bond. Little did I know, beneath her warm smile and soft touch lay secrets capable of destroying me. Our friends, Mark, David, and Paul, were more than just drinking buddies. They were brothers in everything but blood. We'd grown up together, celebrated milestones, and supported each other through hardships. Emily often teased me about how inseparable we were, calling them my second marriage. It was a rainy Thursday evening when the first crack appeared. I had come home late from work to find Emily in the kitchen, visibly tense. Her movements were hurried, her responses clipped. The soft yellow glow of the kitchen light highlighted the beads of sweat forming on her forehead as she chopped vegetables with unnerving intensity. "Everything okay?" I asked, wrapping my arms around her waist. She flinched, just slightly, but enough to make me pause. "Of course," she said, her voice laced with forced cheer. "Just tired. Long day." Her hands trembled as she continued to chop, the rhythm of the knife against the cutting board oddly frantic. The truth didn't reveal itself all at once. It came in fragments, like pieces of a horrifying puzzle. I first noticed how often Emily's phone buzzed late at night. She dismissed it as work emails or messages from her sister, but her discomfort was palpable. Then there were the sudden changes in her demeanor whenever Mark, David, or Paul were mentioned. She'd fumble her words, avoid eye contact, and quickly change the subject. One night, curiosity got the better of me. While she was in the shower, I glanced at her phone. The message on the screen made my stomach drop. "Can't wait to see you again. Last night was incredible." It was from Mark. For a moment, I convinced myself there had to be a logical explanation. Perhaps it was an inside joke, a misunderstanding. But as I scrolled through their conversations, the truth became undeniable. Explicit messages, declarations of longing, all from Mark, my best friend. My heart pounded in my chest, and the air seemed to thin around me. I could feel my pulse in my ears as I read message after message, each one twisting the knife deeper. I could practically hear their laughter, feel the weight of their deceit crushing me. Rage boiled within me, but I didn't confront her that night. Instead, I sank into the abyss of discovery, compelled to uncover the full extent of her betrayal. Over the next few weeks, I noticed inconsistencies in her stories, gaps in her timeline. A pattern emerged, one that pointed not only to Mark but to David and Paul as well. I spent sleepless nights piecing together the evidence, my emotions swinging between heartbreak and fury. Finally, I decided it was time to confront Emily. It was a Saturday morning when I asked her to sit with me in the living room. Sunlight streamed through the windows, casting an ironic warmth on what would become the coldest moment of my life. My hands trembled as I handed her printouts of the messages and photos I'd found. She didn't deny it. Her face paled, tears welling in her eyes as she stammered for words. "James, I never wanted to hurt you. It just happened." "With all three of them?" My voice cracked under the weight of my anguish. The silence that followed was deafening. Her tears flowed freely now, and she buried her face in her hands. She broke down, sobbing uncontrollably, but her tears didn't move me. "Why, Emily? Why them? My best friends?" Her explanations were a chaotic mix of excuses, loneliness, feeling neglected, and the thrill of secrecy. But none of it justified the betrayal. None of it could repair the damage. The confrontation didn't end there. I called Mark, David, and Paul one by one, demanding they meet me at our usual bar. They arrived, each wearing an expression of confusion and unease. The air was thick with tension as I laid everything out. The bar fell silent. The patrons' chatter seemed to fade into the background as I watched the color drain from their faces. Mark was the first to speak, his voice laced with regret. "James, man, I don't even know what to say." "Don't bother," I snapped. "You betrayed me. All of you. Years of friendship, gone. For what?" A thrill? My voice rose, drawing stares from nearby tables. David tried to explain, claiming it was a moment of weakness. Paul just sat there, head in his hands, unable to meet my gaze. Their excuses blurred together, meaningless noise against the backdrop of my seething anger. That night marked the end of our friendship. I walked out of that bar, leaving behind the shattered remnants of what once was. Rain began to fall as I stepped onto the pavement, mirroring the storm raging inside me. The days that followed were a haze of pain and introspection. I filed for divorce, packed my belongings, and moved into a small apartment across town. Emily's attempts at reconciliation fell on deaf ears. She begged for forgiveness, promising to change, but the scars ran too deep. Her presence in my memories haunted me, her laughter now a cruel echo of what once felt pure. Therapy became my lifeline. Each session helped me untangle the web of betrayal, slowly rebuilding my sense of self. I focused on my career, poured my energy into hobbies I had neglected, and even adopted a dog, a loyal companion who reminded me that trust could still exist. I rediscovered my love for painting, something I hadn't done since college. Each brushstroke felt like a release, the colors on the canvas a stark contrast to the darkness I'd endured. It was in these quiet moments that I began to heal. It's been 2 years since that fateful discovery. The pain has dulled, though it hasn't disappeared entirely. I've learned to trust again, though cautiously. I've reconnected with old friends, people outside the shadow of betrayal. And while love feels like a distant concept, I remain hopeful. Looking back, I realized that the betrayal didn't define me. It tested me, pushed me to my limits, but it also forced me to grow. I am stronger now, more aware of my worth. And though the scars remain, they serve as a reminder of the lessons I've learned and the resilience I've gained. Some nights, when the world is quiet and my dog rests at my feet, I think about the life I've rebuilt. I'm not the same man I was before, and that's okay, because this version of me, he's unbreakable,